You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On today's podcast, we'll be talking about identifying manipulative and controlling behaviors in others, as well as their controlling and manipulative patterns. Are you currently in a relationship with someone you feel is manipulating you? Have you felt like you can't do what you want? As though everything you're doing in your life is being questioned? Everything you do on a daily basis is put under a microscope? They're constantly finding whatever you're doing is wrong or inappropriate or however they deem it in a negative light. And isn't it interesting how, well, you're not judging them, you're not putting their actions, attitudes, and patterns under a microscope, but it seems like you can't seem to do anything right. And if that's the case and you're going through this, I know that you feel controlled. You may feel very lost. You may feel as though you've lost some of your identity. And you may not have actually put an actual finger on the exact way and pattern that they're using on you. Like the exact manipulative or controlling behavior that they're using. And you may not even be aware of a pattern just yet because you haven't really thought about that or looked at it so much because you've been under fire so much. You're constantly, under fire, being grilled about the issues and problems and stuff that you're bringing to the table. And this can be very, not only challenging, but also very painful. However, knowledge is power. And when we begin to know what we're dealing with, we begin to realize what we're dealing with. We begin to realize what we need to do to safeguard ourselves. And it's easier for us to overcome as well as strike down this manipulation. If we don't know we're being manipulated and controlled, we can't do anything. We have to first know it. Then we need to identify the practices they're using. What is the actual practice that they're using to manipulate and control us? And why is it working? And is this out of the blue? Or is this a pattern of behavior that they're using? Because I find that when people are very manipulative and very controlling, there's a consistent pattern of behavior that comes along with it. And if you're really close to the situation, it's hard to see it because you feel so threatened by it. You feel like you're on edge by it. You are defensive. You find yourself on the defense. It's very challenging. And when you're in that position, it can be horrible, painful, stressful. And it's hard to be able to see these pieces. But if I help you to identify these and you get something out of this podcast, whenever you're listening to it, wherever you're listening to it, this can help you to begin to see it for what it is. See what the other person is doing to try to control, manipulate you, recognize the tactics that they're using, as well as recognizing, do they do this often? Is this consistent? Is this unified? Is it across the board? Do they do this for big things and things that don't really matter? Are they constantly doing these types of things? Because sometimes we begin to realize that some people have just patterns. They're on a broken record, right? They're just doing it on autopilot. And they're not really thinking about what they're doing or what they're saying. They're just doing it. Because guess what? It's worked so far. And they might have been doing this way before you. This may be their pattern of behavior for every single relationship they've ever been in. And a lot of these relationships begin with this wonderful, wonderful honeymoon beginning. The love bombing, the honeymoon beginning. Oh, this person really cares and they're giving me all this attention. And wow, they really think about me a lot and they're really listening to me. And I can share my deepest, darkest feelings and fears and happiness and all this with this person. And then eventually that might change. Some of you may say, well, Ashley, I wish that my relationship had started that way. But honestly, it's always kind of been combative and argumentative. And I've always seemed to be always trying to just do something minimal, like go to the gym or go eat on my own or get my hair cut or whatever it is, and I can't do it because guess what? This person thinks I'm off doing something else. And they're questioning me and they're questioning my reality. And all in all, what is it? They're trying to control you and to control that aspect of your life because they want you either taking care of them, giving them full on attention, doing what they want you to do, right? Doing what they want you to do, not what you want to do, or entertaining them. Some people just want to be entertained. They want you to be around at all times. They might not even talk to you, but they want you there. The minute you're leaving, where are you going? What are you doing? What's happening here? And you're like, you haven't even spoken to me in 2 hours. You've been on your Instagram for 2 hours. You've been watching old episodes of The Real Housewives for 3 hours or whatever. Or you've been drinking beer up in your man cave. You haven't even once come down to even speak to me. And I'm about to walk out the door to go do something. And now you're trying to check on me and figure out what I'm doing. So it's definitely a pattern of control. So let's begin to start exposing these manipulative and controlling behaviors that are used often to get you to do what? To not do what you want to do. To not go do your thing. To not go hang out with your friends. To not go out of town for a work trip. To whatever it looks like. There's a zillion things that someone doesn't want you to do. And there's several ways, not a zillion ways, but several ways where they're not going to necessarily physically stop you. Now, some people will try, but most people will try to get you to make that decision because otherwise the other option is to continue to allow this person to do something. And so let's start with that. For example, you want to do something and they decide to get angry, maybe cussing you out, yelling and screaming, yelling, throwing things, slamming doors. And so in an effort to not deal with this type of behavior, you just don't go do what you were going to do. And that could have been playing a game of golf. That could have been seeing an old friend from high school. It could be basically anything. Going to a dinner for your work dinner that they don't want you to go to because there's some woman or some guy there that you may speak to that they're worried about. It doesn't matter. There's always something. So you might stop in your tracks because somebody's yelling and screaming at you or breaking things or kicking down doors or whatever they're doing. And sometimes it just is like super annoying, while other times it's really scary. But either way, if it's super annoying or scary, most of the time, what do humans want? We don't want to deal with it. We want to have them stop. We want them to just be quiet. So what do? We normally placate, acquiesce. Okay, I won't go to the dinner. I will be here. I'm not going to go. And then all of a sudden the screaming stops or the arguing stops. And then here we go. Now you're there thinking about, I can't believe that I've just denied myself doing something that I need to do for work, or I need to do this or that, but I'm keeping the peace. And maybe this will go a long way. But the weird thing about all this stuff is that it doesn't go a long way for anything. You just keep getting yourself on a tighter and tighter leash. And I hate to say that. Whether you're a man or a woman, you keep getting on a tighter and tighter leash because that person is wrenching it up. You can't do this one time, you acquiesce because you don't want to hear it. You can't do another thing another time because they wrench it up, you acquiesce, you don't want to hear it. Okay? These are things that we need to really be honest with ourselves about in our relationships, because if you have these types of things in your relationship, this is not a healthy relationship. This is somebody that's manipulating and controlling you in an effort to keep you for themselves and then eventually to break you down over a period of time and use you and basically take away your identity, and over time eventually discard you or just treat you really horribly or just walk all over you. It's not like they're like, oh, this is the love of my life, because you don't manipulate and control the love of your life. It's just not the way it goes. That's not how people operate if you really care about somebody. Another manipulative and controlling behavior that a lot of people use is, let's say, for example, you have to go out of town for a work trip and you don't want to go, especially if you've been in this relationship for a long time, because you know how this person's going to be on the other end of the phone. you're like, oh, God, I just don't want to have to travel for work. Oh, please, God, I don't want to have to do this. I know what's going to happen. And sure enough, your boss is like, yeah, you need to go out of town. We need to take care of this. And you're like, oh, no. When do I break the news that I have to go out of town for work? And you're thinking about it every hour upon the hour. When do you break the news? And you eventually break the news really kind of probably late in the game. Most of you do, because you don't want to hear it for days on. You break it, you break it down in like 4 days before the trip, and they're like, oh my God, where are you going? You're like, I have to go to town for work. Yeah, for sure. I got to leave on this date. How long have you known? Oh, not very long. Because you've done it in the past where you say, hey, I'm going to have to leave town 2 weeks from now for work. What? And all you do is you hear about it over and over again every day before the trip. What are you going to do? Where are you going to be at? I bet you're going to be hanging out with somebody. What are you doing? I can't trust you. Da-da-da-da. So what usually happens in these situations is they blow up your phone. They blow up your phone. Either calling and calling and calling, and you have to answer all the time and basically get nothing done. Okay? This is one of those things where you're getting calls, you can't get anything done except for talk to that person and try to get your work stuff you need to get done and explain to them, hey, I have to work, okay? Like from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, I got to work. And then I have a work dinner, okay? I'm not ignoring you. And then if they don't call you, then they're turbo texting you every minute, asking you, where are you? What are you doing? What's going on? Who are you with? What's happening? Can you take a picture where you're at? I would like to see where you're at. Go on and take me a picture of who you're with. Where are you at? Where are you staying at? What hotel is that? Okay. And you feel compelled. So the training process is, if this has happened to you, you begin to feel compelled to respond. Because for many of you out there, if you don't respond back, there's hell to pay. There's a lot of hell to pay. And it might be more texting, or it could be the dreaded opposite. And I know that many of you already know what I'm going to say without me saying it, because you have had and experienced the dreaded opposite. The silent treatment. Well, if you won't respond to me in a given amount of seconds or minutes, I'll just turn you off. And that's what they do. And sometimes they can wait hours and hours, sometimes 24 hours, even 36 hours, punishing you for what you've done. So now you're very upset about the punishment. You're worried about what's going on. You're upset because they're not communicating with you. You're upset because they're not talking to you. You have no idea what they're doing, who they're with, what's going on. They have completely flipped the tables on you, and now you know nothing. And the interesting part about this game is that it's not equal. When you come home, they're going to be asking you all questions about your trip, where you were, all this stuff. But if you ask them one thing about where they were for those 24 hours that they didn't communicate, here we go again. The blow up, the argument, the fighting, the passive-aggressive behavior, maybe the disappearance act again, training you again. If I bring up anything, they will go silent. They will disappear on me, and I will have no answers at all. And you know what? And then there you are, especially if you have codependency. Where are they? What are they doing? I'm worried for them. I'm worried. Are we still in a relationship? What's going on? Even though you might not be happy with the relationship at all, it's like this trigger. It's this toxic, trauma trigger that is really not positive at all. And it just triggers you to have feelings that you really don't have. It's not really feelings you have. It's just, what happened here? What do I do? I kind of feel like I miss the connection. I miss this, what we call it, trauma bond. That's when trauma bond and love are very confused. They're very confusing because you don't really realize, oh, wait, this is really a trauma bond. This isn't really love. And, trauma bonds are, based on trauma. They're, you're triggering each other's trauma with all these issues happening. It's not love, because real love, you don't passively aggressively treat people. You don't do silent treatment for 2 days. You don't go sleep over at someone's house and act like nothing happened and then put it back on the other person to have to defend themselves and basically constantly doing that and berating somebody. That's not love at all. That's a pattern of control. And we see this a lot of times with folks that sometimes have narcissistic tendencies, borderline tendencies, histrionic tendencies, and the list goes on. And the silent treatment for a specific time is very interesting. The passive aggressive behavior is very interesting. And that passive aggressive behavior, that's interesting because the problem with that is a lot of times with these folks, what they do is they punish and reward, punish and reward. Oh, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I mean, without you, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I mean, oh my God, I'm so in love with you. And sometimes they can be so poetic with their words, right? The text can be so sweet. I miss you, my love. I miss you this. I miss you that. Oh, whatever. I can't wait to see you. Oh, I love you so much, all this stuff. And then you see them and they're not like hugging and kissing on you. They have nothing to do with you. It's like, and then they flip the script. Now it's passive aggressive, angry behavior, questioning behavior. What were you doing all day? You're like, well, I was at the office. At the office? Really? Yeah, the office. Working. That's what working people do. And that's always a real challenge when it comes to that type of situation, is that, you don't really know, what's really happening until you actually show up. Until you show up and you go, oh my God, I thought everything was good for a while and you were sending me these great texts and now I realize that's not the case at all and you're very unhappy and this is kind of the same thing we do all the time and now we're going back into this. This isn't very fun. I don't really like this. But you're still there. And if you try to leave, that's when the arguing or fighting happens or, the issues that they have with you leaving, which is a problem. And all this goes back to control. It's all made to beat you down, to make you feel bad, to get you to do something or to get you not to do something. To get you to do something or to get you to not do something. It's all manipulation and control devised to make you feel a specific way. And so I really think about it. Is there somebody in your life who is manipulating and controlling you? Do you feel controlled and manipulated currently in your current life situation? And what are you doing about it to change it? We need to change it. We don't want to sit with it. The longer we continue to sit with it, I know that we have to get to the point, right? I was on with a client today in one of my sessions and she said, I have to get to the point when it really does upset me. It really gets under my skin. And I think that's very true with anything. Like even in therapy and coaching, I get new clients referred to me from current clients or past clients who, you got to see Ashley. And I get some clients who are like, I'm in it to win it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the work. I'm ready. Even if it's painful or I have to go through it, I know that eventually on the other side, it's going to be awesome. I get a lot of those clients, which are fabulous. I get some clients that are like, they put their toe in the water. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I'm ready for change. I don't know. The water's a little cold. Oh, God, I don't know. I'm in it for a little while. Let's see if I can deal with it. And then, some small thing after whatever time, okay, they're out. Or you have people that just right after the first session, done, can't deal with it because they're not willing to make a change because they haven't gotten to that point. We have to get to the point where stuff is so bad, right? And I don't like to get there. I mean, the problem is we don't want to get where our hair is on fire. Nobody wants to have their hair on fire. Nobody wants to be like, gosh, my hair's on fire. And I get clients who I consider their hair is on fire. Things have gotten bad. Things have gotten overboard. We are in a not healthy position. We need to find ourselves. We need to get our identity. We need to really create it like from ground up. We need to, separate ourselves from these situations as much as we can in an effort to, get ourselves back, in an effort to safeguard ourselves. All these things are super, super important. And we have to do it. And that's what I'm saying is that is very important. And we have to kind of think about those types of things. But we have to get to the point. We have to get to the point in our life that we're ready for this change, that we don't want to, we want to do it and it's time. And I think that many of you are there. You're there. You've had enough of the blow-ups. You've had enough of the placation. You've had enough of I can't be myself or do my own thing. Every time I try to do my own thing, even if it's just going to the gym or even if it's hanging out with your best friend down the street, having a beer at the burger joint, it's a problem. And all you do is hear about it. Oh, yeah, you had to go out with your friend, right? Oh, I'm sure that's where you were. Y'all weren't out at the strip club or doing whatever. And there's all these questions and wonderment and accusations and all this stuff. And then like this, reactive response to something you haven't even done. Some of them, even if you haven't done anything, will just go out and literally just do something crazy. You have no idea. They go silent for a day. And you're like, what happened? They have no comment. But, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to get you back, even though I'm creating a complete narrative in my head that's not even appropriate or even true. I'm going to swerve out right now and do this. And this is stuff that's just overwhelming because now you're like, well, I can't even go out with my friend to have that beer for 45 minutes because, she might go do that or he might go do that. And I don't want that to happen. So I'll just sit at home and wait. And that's one of the hardest things when we deal with these types of patterns is we find ourselves being so controlled and so manipulated, we feel like we are not even who we are anymore. And that's what's so hard. Because this person on the other side seems to be, their life seems to be good. They seem to be doing whatever they want to do. Because remember, this isn't equal. This isn't an equal relationship. You can't do whatever you want to do. They can do whatever they want to do. And that's what they're trying to show you through these actions and behaviors and patterns. They're trying to get you to not even do it anymore. It's like this behavior. I'm going to beat this behavior out of you. I'm going to punish this behavior out of you until you stop basically doing this. You stop living your life. And now I don't have to worry about you anymore because now you're under complete control. Okay, and now I can do whatever I want, right? That's really honestly what these people are doing. Because now they have you under their thumb. And now they know that they can do whatever they want now, right? Because they've beat it out of you. And now, and if you ask them a question because they've trained you, well, hey, where have you been? I've been home for 2 hours and tried to call you like 6 times, but you didn't answer. What? Really? Well, what's this about? And then they flip the script on you. Oh, yeah, well, I could ask you the same question. Or what about all of a sudden you go, oh, God, I don't want to open this can of worms. I don't want to ask. I want to know, but I don't want to know because I know it's going to be turned around on me. And I'm going to be the bad guy. And so think about that. This is very important information to think about. The flip side, too, is that some of the stuff that they're doing is actual program patterns that they have learned. Even if it's not a big deal. Like, let's just say, like, you're going to the gym. You should be able to go to the gym. That's your health we're talking about, correct? But they make a big deal about it. That's just like, you gotta start working on breaking those patterns because that's why a lot of times, too, when they go off on you, let's say, like, someone goes off on you for whatever it is, and then the next day they call you like nothing's wrong, or they come by and they act like everything's great. It's like a lot of it is just like, it's such a pattern that it's almost like this dramatic thing that they got to do, and then they're all good next day. And I have actually coined the phrase myself. I'm the only one that's ever used this phrase, is BPD amnesia. Now, this is not just for that. It's MPD amnesia. It's amnesia for anybody that does something and then turns around and acts like it never happened. And you're over there like, I don't know if I want to bring it up because I don't want to start things up again. But again, these are the things we need to think about because if you're in these situations that you're experiencing this stuff, you are in a manipulative, controlling relationship. There is no question in my mind. And if that's the case, you are feeling lost. You are feeling resentment. But the other side of the coin is in order to be in this manipulative and controlling relationship, there has to be some upside to it. Like, for example, maybe they flip the script and, every 4 days you are on this pedestal and you're like, oh my God. Or maybe they want you to feel as though they need your help to take care of them. You're the knight in shining armor. And so it really connects with that codependency. The codependency mantra, I got to do for others. Otherwise, I have no value, right? I mean, I'm a recovering codependent. I understand. I have to do for others. Otherwise, I have nothing and I am nobody, which is not true. But that's how, when we were raised in certain dynamics, you believe that when you did something good, you were valuable, that you were not valuable just in and of itself. And yes, doing good for people is a good thing, but it doesn't mean that just gives us value. We have innate value without doing anything. We could just sit and have innate value. Okay, but that's something that I work with my clients to understand and create that so that we stop being beaten up and disrespected in relationships. But think about it. Sometimes we have to call this out. If we want any change, we have to call out the toxicity. And I'm not talking about wrenching it up, or going to their level. I'm talking about calling it out. Hey, did you realize that in a positive, neutral way, did you realize that you're getting angry at me for going to the gym and going on the treadmill so that I can keep my cholesterol and my heart rate in the right spot? Do you understand that that's what you're fighting me for? I just want to ask, because I want to make sure you understand that this is my health we're talking about. Or, hey, I haven't seen John, my best friend from high school, and I've been wanting to see him, and I've canceled multiple plans for him. We were going up the street 5 minutes down the road for a beer. Do you understand that you're getting angry about this? And pointing it out and saying, hey, I'm a human. I have a life too, and I'm allowed to see my friends. I'm allowed to work out. I'm allowed to eat. I'm allowed to drink. I'm allowed to sleep. I'm allowed to do what I need to do. And sometimes the only way out of this is to call it out and to do eventually what you want to do. There's really no other way, but it takes work and it takes time. And that's what I'm saying, is that we have to be willing to accept the backlash to move on. We have to be willing to accept the backlash to move on. And that can be hard. And I'll have another show for you sooner than later, which is, about the leadership role. In order to really move forward in our life, we have to take the lead. And like taking the lead and being the leader, the leader has a lot on their plate. But nobody's really, nobody's really trying to kick down the follower or the person not in charge. And anybody's life, we need to be in charge of our own life, our own direction, our own ship. We need to be in charge of that. We need to be at the helm. We don't need someone else trying to be at the helm of our ship, turning it around and taking it to a port we don't want to be at. That's only going to later on bite us in the butt anyway, and we're going to have to make a lot of changes to get our life back on course. And I don't like to see that for anybody. I don't like to see that for anybody. And I think all of us have been there before. I've obviously been there before. Or I could not help other people. You have to be successful in getting out of manipulative and controlling relationships with people with extreme narcissistic tendencies and what have you, and even borderline tendencies, or even a combination, or even more, even sociopathic tendencies. You have to be able to be successful to help other people get out of it. If you haven't done it, you can't help anybody else get out of it. It's like if you don't have self-love, like real self-love, and you have created that and done that the proper way from 20 plus years of working on loving yourself and separating from codependency, you can't help somebody. You're just basically going through the motions, and maybe something will stick. But if you have a blind side to something, you can't help others. And this is something that I have thoroughly walked through client after client after client to get this right. And their lives have changed in a major uptick by working through these things and reclaiming themselves. And so, and another show we'll be talking more about the leadership role, but in this process, we have to sometimes rock the boat. We have to rock the boat to get our stuff across. We have to say and speak our truth. Even if the yelling starts or whatever, hey, I'm going to take a break. You need to pull yourself together. We'll talk about it later. But the thing is, a lot of times we don't want to rock the boat because we put value of ourselves and our identity in that relationship. And that's what we have to divide from, is to divide our identity away from that relationship. Just because, whether or not that relationship exists or doesn't exist doesn't mean anything about us. It either exists or doesn't, but even if it doesn't, we are still good. And that's what we have to kind of figure out. If you haven't checked out my website, go to ashleyburgess.com, ashleyburges.com. You can also set up a coaching session right there on the coaching session page. Also, Go to YouTube. Check out YouTube in the search engine in YouTube. Put in Life Coach Ashley Burgess. Life Coach Ashley, Berges. New video content out every week on these topics and exact topics like this, as well as overcoming this, dealing with narcissism, dealing with all these various types of things, dealing with, manipulation, controlling people, how to overcome this, how to be successful, how to overcome the pain, the triggering, all those good things are on there. So check out the YouTube channel, Life Coach Ashley Burgess. I hope this podcast has been of some awareness and help. Please share with any family members and friends. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Spreaker, anywhere that a podcast is housed, anywhere. So check it out, Live Your True Life Perspectives. Please share it with everybody. I have a new show out next week. Every Wednesday, it'll pop every Wednesday between 5 and 9 a.m., and I look forward to hearing any feedback. If you'd like to communicate with me, go to ashleyburgess.com, click on that contact page, and send me a message. I'll get back to you ASAP. And I love hearing from listeners, and I like to hear your opinions, your thoughts, and even subject matters that you would like me to discuss. Stay tuned. Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in. I'll be back this time. You know it. I'll be back this time in 3 shakes.